And once again, I want to say greetings to each and every one of you. Aquaba. Welcome. Welcome to another round of the Conscious Roster Report here on LIBRadio, LIBTV here on livinginblack.com. My name is Kedia Wadu, aka the Conscious Roster. Weekday mornings, you and I get together. And today's actually Sunday mornings, you and I get together live from 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's 12 noon Eastern time, 5 p.m. GMT, and 8 p.m. East African time. We get together with you and we deal with culture, consciousness, historical perspectives. We deal with entertainment, economics, education, health, labor, law, politics, religion, family, conflict, future studies, all areas of human interactivity and development. Today's date is Sunday. It is the first day of March 2026 in the Gregorian Western calendar. This corresponds to the year 6266 in the calendar of ancient Kemet, to which we've realigned our cultural clock. Welcome to the 7th millennium. You have found your family in a peaceful place here on LIBRadio, LIBTV here on livinginblack.com. What a joy it is to be with you today. It is absolutely a pleasure, and let me say it is also a pleasure to be joined. Welcome back to LIBRadio today. Here, let me just take this music down. To our brother Dwara is in the house. Let me put you up on the stage, Dwara, and welcome, Aquaba. How is it, brother, doing today?
Thank you, Baba. I really appreciate it. I am doing quite well. Our ancestors remind us for us to hold on to our inner strength. And so I say Shikamo to you and Ubuntu Ma'at to the global LIBRadio family.
Dynamite. I got a call from Baba Junius just a few minutes ago. He was just outside the house and was headed back home. And he should be joining us probably in about 5 minutes or so. That's I don't think that's color people time either.
Well, you know, what we call CP time is really consciously present time. And
I like that.
Yeah, I've had to decolonize that term, because really where it comes from is, if I may just quickly say, it comes from us valuing the person in front of us over the future of the clock, if that makes any sense. So what we're doing in the present moment, especially when dealing with people, and our empathy and our well-being for them, you know, continentally, we have so many greetings that we give each other, and it's so important, so respectful to ask how this one is doing, and is the family healthy, and how is your mood today? Did you wake up okay? Are you sleeping? You know, how is the broader family? And when all those pleasantries are exchanged, which is not just a nicety. It's not just a politeness. It is a moral obligation to ask how someone and their family is doing. And at that point, what is called CP time really is that we are determining that who we are speaking to in the moment is more important than this Western notion of being locked to the sea lock.
Wow. That's very, very powerful. When is the book coming out?
It's being worked on for sure. It's coming out. It's definitely coming out. I'm just trying to find more time to do writing. I know, unbeknownst to everyone else, but behind the scenes, there's just a lot going on. But that's okay. We take it like the snail, slowly. The snail makes it top. The snail makes it to the top of the mountain.
That's true. That is true. And I'm doing my best to stay as up on my writing as possible. I just sent another one to the printer just early this morning. I was up after midnight just editing, and man, I had a hard time getting this off to the printer. It kept coming back an error, and I did everything that I did on all my previous books, but it kept coming back as an error. So I was able to get the new book off to the printer this morning, and I expect to be able to, in fact, they told me it was okay, so I expect to be able to see it a little bit later this afternoon. And but it's going to be really quite a wonderful book. I'm very proud of it. It's entitled Steam ships. Let me give you, it's entitled Steamships STEM STEM evolved arts, spirituality, and health fuel innovation and sustainability. And I think you know by now, I took the STEM, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's already been expanded to include arts, but I also added to it spirituality. Um, H stands for holistic health. I, innovation, and fourth, sustainability. So steamships. You've heard me talk about that before. Am I correct?
Absolutely. And if memory serves correct, that was brilliantly and geniusly developed by you during the pandemic in 2020.
Yeah, that was during the pandemic. And I now have it as a book, and it's about a
Beautiful.
150-page book, and it's been developed out very, very well. I'm hoping and anticipating that this will dramatically change the trajectory that our people have been on insofar as education, fulfilling our destiny, and moving forward. Let's go into today's theme, which is, of course, the mastermind. We're looking at affairs around the world and what is happening. And I don't
Ooh.
think anything stands more in our face
Mm.
than the U.S. and Israeli assault on the Republic of Iran.
Yeah, that is true. That definitely is probably the top news story of the day. There's a lot going on. Last I saw right before the program signed on is that it looks like the Ayatollah Khamenei has been killed.
Hmm. Yeah, and that is quite a concern. We do expect that to have multiple problems and lingering in the long run. And I do see Baba Junius is in the house. Aquaba, welcome to you, Baba Junius. Sorry, I was
Madasi.
got so into hearing myself talk and hearing Brother Dwyer talk, I forgot you were in the background.
Hey, Baba.
Hey, how's everyone?
We're doing
Doing well.
good, Medase. Great to have you with us. What is up with you, Baba Junius?
Man, went over to Philly to meet some friends, and a friend, and he introduced me to a couple of other brothers, and I told him I had to leave. I left in enough time,
Mm-hmm.
and I got lost, so I hadn't been over
Oh
in that
my
area
goodness.
in that area in Philly for a long time, and so instead of making a left to come back toward the bridge, I made a right, and I was going down toward Delaware Avenue.
Is
So
Oh, okay.
it snowing over there, Baba?
no, it's just cold. That's all.
Okay, yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
snowing up here again. Again.
Yeah. Brother Dwyer and I had just entered speaking about the new U.S. military engagement, the Epstein War. I've heard it being referred to. Is there anybody got any comment on that?
That makes sense. I think that it has something to do with Epstein. It has a lot to do with Netanyahu. It has a lot to do with Israel. It has a lot to do with the Mossad.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Epstein was running a global extortion honey trap network. And I
Mm-hmm.
say
Mm-hmm.
global, I literally mean all around the world, primarily with Europeans and Euro descendants.
Mm-hmm.
And
But it wasn't limited to Europeans
no,
because
I said
some
primarily.
of the other countries are dismissing their top government ministers for being involved with Epstein. And again, not just Epstein himself, but it's somehow tying them into the Mossad and these intelligence operations.
Right. But he was one of the primary faces. He's not the only person. This has been going on for years. What unfortunately the Europeans and Euro Americans don't want to realize is that their leadership is depraved.
Mm.
Their leadership
Mm-hmm.
are psychopaths. Their leadership literally, some of them literally worship evil.
Right.
They're
And
satanic.
well, I won't call them, some people call them satanic, some people call them Luciferians. It's
Mm-hmm.
clear that I've read some things where they need the blood of innocent young children. And keep in mind, these weren't just underage girls. I mean, that's some of them, but when you get into it, they also are dealing with males also.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so all of this is connected. I believe that even if Epstein wasn't a factor, the fact that so many Zionists and so many Khazars slash Ashkenazim donated to Trump's campaign, he's literally beholden to them for just about everything. So they're going to get whatever they want, and they want this war. So that's what we got.
Wow. I got a comment from Brother Nefertim, who I know is listening today. It's great always to have you in the house, Brother Nefertim. He said, should blacks be concerned about our adversaries' war interactions between each other, being that they, Persians, Iran, European Jews, and other white groups globally enslaved our ancestors via financing and chattel enslavement? Kind regards from Brother Nefertimur. That's a reasonable question. Anybody want to
Yeah,
take that
but
on?
okay, but see, it's not just limited to infighting amongst the Eurasians or Urugu.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what's going on in the midst of all of this. Trump is bombing Nigeria.
Yeah.
He's bombing
Mm-hmm.
Somalia. He's
Yeah.
bombing Yemen.
True.
And
Yes.
we're talking, so we're not isolated. He's bombing, he's upset the apple cart in Venezuela, which has a large Afro-Caribbean, African
Mm-hmm.
ancestry population. He's going after Cuba. So we need to recognize that they're so insane. They're so psychopathic that
Mm-hmm.
they have no respect for life in any form, not even their own people. You know,
Mm.
when you look at their history, they had no compunctions whatsoever about abusing, torturing,
Yeah.
slaughtering their own people. I'm talking about within their own tribes, let alone the other tribal groups. And then when they formed nation states, when you look at the history of Europe, it's one of ongoing constant warfare.
Mm-hmm. Brother Dwyer, did you want to comment on the question offered by Brother Nefertim?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question again? It felt a little disjointed.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to have to pull back up my email and I'll read it again. One
Yeah,
second. And
should we as Africans be concerned
yes,
about the
them
warfare
fighting
amongst
each
the
other, right?
yeah.
Well, I think all we have to do is look at the historical record to know that when they finally settle that or figure that out, they come looking for other people. So
Mm.
I agree with you, Baba Kitty and Baba Junius, that it's more complex than that. It's that we are and have always been under direct assault as well. So these are
Mm-hmm.
many wings of the same bird, and the tributaries of this blood river, so to speak, are vast. Bob Marley said it best. Everywhere is war. And the other thing
Mm-hmm.
I was going to go back to about Epstein real quick is that Borge Brende, the World Economic Forum CEO, has stepped down due to his connection with Jeffrey Epstein. So it's very interesting how all of this, as Baba Junius mentioned, is interconnected, and that it seems to be unraveling. I think the greatest takeaway that I've seen is that these so-called powers that be, these elites, they're scrambling, they're desperate, and they're feeling the finality of their lack of having been able to achieve immortality yet. And I think we're only going to see them continue to get even more desperate And then as far as the silvery tangerine is concerned, I think that he's in lockstep with Netanyahu because of what information they must be holding over him. I don't think for one second that he's not in lockstep for any other reason other than they're holding a lot of information over him, and he is just falling into lockstep with them due to that. I think it's a lot bigger than we realize.
Hey,
Yeah.
Dwara,
Yes.
you mentioned the new director of the World Economic Forum. Don't forget Klaus Schwab.
Yes, exactly.
Supposedly voluntarily stepped off. There were some
Exactly.
issues about him too.
Sexual and racist accusations. Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yeah. First, before I comment, let me just say greetings to everyone in the listening audience on our YouTube. I see Flying Guillotine is in the house. Always a pleasure. Eddie McCrory, you know you're so reliable. Great to have you in the house today. And on our Rumble page, Queen Mother Kashiba checks in, Hotep family. For Africa One writes, Hotep, Mastermind, panel, and Global LB family. Gus is in the house. Greetings, family. He asked, "Was this C lock?" You were talking about time, and he said, "Oh, the clock." And Shabaka is in the house. Greetings, Baba, panel guests, and LB family. Spring is in the air, and I'm loving it. And also in Guvu in the house, Sawabona, peace and blessing, LB family. Let me address my brother's question because I think it is a good question, but I think it is a narrow perspective that provokes the question. And I personally think we do best when we're not merely reacting to injustices, especially historical injustice. And I don't think we should ever forget history. What Malcolm X say, of all of our studies, history is most likely to reward our endeavors. So that's not to be dismissed. This history does exist, yet we are too weak to do anything about it. And the ramifications of what is happening there will undeniably change the entire world. If we remember this, it was revealed by, I can't remember who revealed it. You'll tell me his name in a second. But there were 7 countries, Islamic countries, targeted by the United States.
Yeah.
Brava Junius. Who revealed
Chairman
that?
Wesley Clark. Wesley Clark.
Yeah, Wesley Clark, very important. And Wesley Clark was a very significant character. We kind of overlooked him. But when we understand what impact on Africans in America or anywhere else around the world, as well as the world, did the attack on Iraq have charged with weapons of mass destruction that never existed? What impact on the world did the assault on Libya have? Did the assault on Syria and all these other Islamic nations, taking them down one by one? And Iran was targeted in the first beginning of this whole series of assaults, but Iran has resisted all of it. Secondly, what about the cost of oil? It is expected that on Monday, when the markets open up, I've heard prediction that the cost of oil will rise $30 a barrel. Now, is that any more money that we should have taken away from our ability to feed our families, to pay rent, and to keep all of the things functioning that we need to have functioning? So we, especially because we are deeply embedded in the American culture, politics, economics, etc., we cannot dismiss the impact of this on everyone else. Lastly, I did write about this in my book. The book is entitled Disaster Preparedness for World Wars 5 and 6. Now, in certain ways, this is the opening of World War VI, the NATO alliance against BRICS. But this case, it's not the NATO alliance anymore. Donald Trump has messed all of that up. Now it's the U.S.-Israeli alliance, or I should say the Jewish-Christian alliance. So they are attacking these nations with a large Muslim population. Iran is definitely the 5th largest nation with a majority Muslim population. They have some 90 million people. So the ramifications of this are going to spill out everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. And you know something, brothers? We were totally 100% unprepared for it. I heard not one black leader really tell our people, we better hunker down, get ready, and buckle up because it's about to get fierce around here. And when there's a war between two giants or when elephants fight, it is the grass that gets crushed.
Iran too has very strategically over the last 20 years configured itself into 12 autonomous regions, both of which are capable of military offense and defense. And that was strategically done so that if perhaps just the capital was taken out, that Iran as a nation, as a republic, would still be able to survive. They have over a 5,000-year history, are no strangers to war, and from what I'm hearing, Iran is not the greatest threat to Israel. The greatest threat to Israel at this point might even be Turkey, which is a NATO nation. So I agree that U.S. Israel alliance is continuing to strengthen, and it's going to have a reverberating effect, as we know.
Well, in addition to Keedy in his book, in 2006, I read a book by Matthias Chang. It was called Future Fast Forward, The Zionist Anglo-American Empire Meltdown. Everything, the book is in 3 parts. Everything in that book came to pass. The only thing he didn't anticipate, the first part of the book is about derivatives and the impact that they would have on a major meltdown and collapse. He predicted that. The only thing he didn't predict was the bailouts. He thought that the whole system was going to crash. The last part of the book, the third part of the book, and I lent it to a friend of mine. I haven't gotten it back. I lost track of him. He left. The last third of the book is about what we're seeing now.
Wow.
How the Zionists would manipulate things to bring on, and what he's talking about is a global conflagration. So Keedy's right. He's the only, Keedy, yourself, you're the only black person other than, I've been on this, but I'm saying
you have.
You wrote a book about it. Whereas I would talk on these forums or in my own writings, but most of us are asleep on this whole thing, and also on the global ramifications of what you're talking. Because see, you just mentioned oil. What about all the petroleum products that are made from petroleum? I'm not just talking about oil, gasoline.
Vaseline. How are black folks going to function in a world where Vaseline stocks are stressed?
Or even plastics, things like that. The derivatives that come out of petroleum or oil are all going to be impacted by this. And mark my words, and we can see it already. With all the distraction with the Epstein things, and I believe that was done on purpose to distract people. Look at how all the major media are in lockstep with this.
That's right. You are absolutely right.
There's no one in total opposition to this. No one is on. There's no person on coming on talking about this.
And could that have something to do with the fact that the Zionists have so permeated the mass media from all angles, from the liberal angle, from et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah.
Brother Dwyer, did you want to comment?
I'll say this and then let Dwyer come in. Up until recently, or even now, and it's going to be even more difficult. When you say that, you get bombarded with the canard that you're anti-Semite.
Whatever that means.
Well, it doesn't mean anything, really.
It doesn't mean anything to you and I And so when charged with that, if you know the right questions to ask, they quickly back down and say, "Oh, okay, we'll forget we even brought it up."
Yeah, yeah, because Arabic is a Semitic language, so
That's right.
it,
And
Yeah,
actually,
but
Semite means half.
right.
yeah. The other thing is from a DNA perspective, the people who
Ooh,
call themselves Jews have no
Yep.
connection whatsoever with the Judeans, the Israelites, or the Hebrews.
Right.
now I
Russian
understand
text tribe.
it's illegal in Israel to take a DNA test.
Oh wow.
They say
Yeah,
because taking a DNA test in Israel will show that these people are not related to the not the Ashkenazi, the Sephardic people who had been inhabiting that part of the planet for thousands of years. That they are actually Jewish, Polish, German descended. Many of them are Jewish, Polish, and well as a number of Russians are in there as well. But their DNA
yeah, but
puts them very strongly as Eastern European people.
well, not just that. There's a significant portion of them that are Tatar Turks who are not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're deeper into Eastern Europe to the point that they're Eurasian. They're some of them. Some I've seen some reports that they're distantly related to the Huns.
Mm,
Well,
mm,
look
mm.
look at the culture. Look at the culture. Um, you know, we can see those warmongering. A term that I was taught a long time ago was battle axe cultures.
Mm.
Those Eurasian tribes that were drinking blood from the skulls of their enemies and just going around bashing people. If people look up the word berserk, that comes from a tribe. The Vandals as well.
Well, the Vandals, yeah.
Vandalism. The
Yeah.
berserkers,
Yeah, that's
which
right.
is going berserk, implying a sexual lust for violence.
But not only that, we're living in we talk about Ma'at, we talk about truth, we talk about Ubuntu.
Mm.
We're living in an era of Isfet where there is, as Amos Wilson would talk about, the falsification of African identity, the falsification of reality. Now they have the technology to make it such that the distinction between reality and fakery is almost imperceptible.
Right.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I say all this to say that they being the Ashkenazim and the Khazars are lying about themselves. They're lying about us. And so are the other groups, the Goths, the Ostrogoths, the Burgundians, the Angles, the Saxons, the Jutes, the Vandals, the Picts, all of them
Yeah.
try to make it like they're the descendants of the Greeks and the Romans who they call civilized. But they're
Mm.
actually the direct descendants of the people that sacked Rome and throughout history have been called barbarians, the Norsemen, the Vikings, all of them. That's who the
Mm.
people that most white people that we see today, that's who their ancestors are.
And
Wow.
then you throw in a bunch of Neanderthal DNA as well.
Oh, ouch. Ouch.
And you got a whole nother situation.
Elaborate
Boy, oh
on that.
boy.
Elaborate on that, because most people don't know the real deal about that.
Yeah, well, from what they say, there is a significant percentage of non-Homo sapiens sapien DNA that somehow found its way inside of the Eurasian gene pool. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are other species intermixed within there as well.
Yeah, they don't say the Denisovans are. They haven't gotten that far yet.
Mhm.
But the Neanderthals figure prominently in white people's DNA. It doesn't matter what tribe they're from.
If you go to the
Mm-hmm.
book Ancient Future by Wayne B. Chandler, there are photographs.
Ashe.
There are photographs in there of some very interesting Eastern Europeans. Again, it all, as we've talked about, kind of seem to have formed in and around the Caucasus Mountains. Hence the word
That's
Caucasus.
right. That's right. I do see a couple of comments. Flying guillotine turns out attacking Iran is over oil and the process of breaking down Venezuelan crude oil. It's annoying. TR. I guess that means Mr. Trump. Eddie in the YouTube family. Eddie writes, does the panel think this is a Trump plan, or would these strikes on Iran would have happened under whomever was U.S. president? I think that's a pretty legitimate question, and I think that Donald Trump is essentially, in this case, acting like a puppet on a string. On a
Yep.
string, the isolation of Iran took place under Barack Obama, under Joe Biden. It's been continuous since really about the time of the attack on Iraq back in the early 1990s. So I think that this isolation of Iran is significant. They say Iran has been wanting a nuclear weapon. Well, look at the way you've been treating Iran for 30 years.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't they want the ultimate defense? Because no nation with nuclear weapons has been assaulted and attacked like this. Now, unfortunately, we're starting to see Pakistan come under assault and attack. That's another critical area we better
Yeah,
be watching out
yeah,
for. But
yeah.
I contend that the assault against Pakistan is still World War IV, the global war against Islam. And we can look back to Samuel P. Huntington's Clash of Civilizations document in the summer edition of Foreign Affairs magazine, 1993, when he talks about a war amongst civilizations will be the most significant conflicts of the future.
Well, the thing, this is not coincidental. Everything is connected. The
Hmm.
skirmish between Afghanistan and Pakistan, I don't believe in coincidences. So this happens right when the United States and Israel attack Iran.
Hmm.
If you remember, in June, Pakistan was quite vocal in their support of Iran, and they told them after the dust settles, if this continues, we will support you. We got your back. And so
Hmm.
now they're forced to focus their attention on Afghanistan as opposed to being a direct and active ally to Iran. So somehow the powers that shouldn't be prodded the the Taliban to do this. So that's gonna be
Yeah, and
that's gonna be interesting.
these Taliban that are attacking Pakistan are armed with U.S. weapons.
Right, right.
So could it
That the
very well
United States
likely
left.
be the United States left the weapons in the hands of the ones that they ultimately would want to manipulate? I can only speculate, but that sounds kind of feasible to me. And there were significant street protests in Pakistan over the killing of the Ayatollah Khomeini. And the Ayatollah Khomeini is head of the Shia faction of Islam. And so it's not just the Ayatollah Khomeini was the head of Iran.
Right.
No, in Bangladesh,
Yeah.
Muslims are protesting over the killing of the Shia spiritual leader. And people, I don't know, we do know. The U.S. media does not give our people sufficient understanding of this and very, very many other important situations. And there's another important media related situation that's really kind of got my guns right now. And bear with me, but it is the tributes over the passing of Jesse Jackson. I can't even listen to any of these news stories because I have empathy for the people who are saying these things, but they're so doggone ignorant that it makes me want to cringe, makes me want to holler.
Well, but remember, he was, if he ever, I give him the benefit of the doubt that was when he was a youngster, when he was an adolescent, meaning in his early 20s, he might have been trying to do the right thing, but keep in mind he was very ambitious, and his judgment and his ethics were clouded by his ambition. And so he became someone that they could use. He became a spokesperson. He became a national figure, which is what he wanted. He just didn't get to the point where he wanted to go. And so the clear thing is if he were pro-African, he was a pan-Africanist, if he was a pacifist, if he was someone who was aligned with truth, he'd have been ignored or eliminated, just like they eliminated Malcolm, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Fred Hampton, and so many others.
Yeah. To me, this dispute on what to do with the body, where to post it up, who gets the tribute, and the African Americans who are being trooped to the microphone by the liberal Zionist media to say these things about Jesse Jackson, to me, it shows the great intellectual divide that affects our people. A few comments have come in. Let me just catch up with them.
Before you do that, I just want to add, those of us who paid attention, remember when he was running and he called New York City Hymietown and the fallout from that. And I'm not saying that he would have won or he would have gone further or farther than he did had he not said that. But when we're looking at trends, you don't attack that group and go away unscathed or with impunity. They're always going to get you back, or they're always going to come at you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's going to be very interesting watching all this go down. Now, I do see a couple of comments in the chat on Rumble. I do see Nguvu joined us for Africa One. She wrote, the negative impact for oil-based products could be a great opportunity for hemp-based materials. And I like that. I love that idea. She's thinking the very same way I say we should all think. We should always think about the positive opportunities that could be moving forward for all of us. Moja has joined us. Greetings, LIB Mastermind Panel. Much respect. And Queen Mother Kasiba writes, most Muslims are Sunni. Give Jesse Jackson a rest. I can't give him a rest. The man was involved in the conspiracy to kill Dr. King. That traumatized me. I was 13 years old. That traumatized me for life. I apologize to you, Queen Mother, because you've been a wonderful supporter of us, but I can't give it a rest, at least until I can inform as many people as who will listen to me that we cannot ignore these news stories. Do you remember when Ed Koch called Jesse Jackson out on that? I have that story here. Ed Koch. This story, bear with me. I'm just going real quickly. Here's what I assembled today. The 3 great lies and media coverage. Number 1 lie, blood on the shirt.
Right.
Jackson appeared on television the next day and the turtleneck he said was stained with King's blood. This image became iconic, later reporting conflicting testimony about whether he had actually cradled Dr. King or was on the ground below, raised questions about how the blood got there. 2, great lie. The last to speak to Dr. King. Jackson often said he was the last to talk with Dr. King as he lay mortally wounded, but contemporary accounts, and later interviews stressed that Ralph Abernathy came to speak to King as he lay on the balcony, which undercut Jackson's claim to have been the final intimate witness. And lie number 3, Jesse, lead my people to the mountaintop. The specific quote, lead my people to the mountaintop, does not appear in credible contemporaneous accounts of King's last words and is contradicted by other aides' recollections. King's own mountaintop language comes from his April 3rd speech. Some critics say Jackson retroactively paste a paraphrase of that speech into King's dying mouth to anoint himself as successor. I've got a bunch of references I pulled today on all of this. I'll just one more. The Washington Post in 1988 ran a long retrospective on Jackson and King's legacy, which noted substantial testimony contradicting the idea that Jackson cradled King and discussed the resentment among some aides over Jackson's self-presentation. So I'll take a deep breath. If anybody wants this stuff, I have a whole bunch of it I put together. I'm going to put it up on my Facebook page. Actually, it is on my Facebook page already today.
Yeah, the other notable thing is how if you really sift with a fine-tooth comb through all the declassified COINTELPRO paper information from that era, Hoover and the FBI and arguably the CIA were very, very interested in finding a replacement for Dr. King, and had all but mentioned Jesse Jackson as the one that was going to usurp King's throne, so to speak, and take the civil rights movement in the direction that the U.S. government wanted.
Mm-hmm. Now, that reference that appeared in the church committee document about we have found someone who will be the proper leader for Negroes, Steve Coakley broke it down, and he said it was most likely Samuel Proctor, a professor at South Carolina State University, who they were referring to. The name had been redacted, but Samuel Proctor is the man who mentored Jesse Jackson. I think it was North Carolina State.
And then there was that other component about friendlies don't wear ties, right?
And the turtleneck sweater had the blood on it. And Jesse Jackson wore that sweater in a whole series of television interviews for the 3 days after the assassination, till finally, maybe he started smelling or whatever. Somebody called him out on it. But it's serious. And Ed Koch in the New York Times article entitled "Koch Says Jackson Lied About Actions After Dr. King Was Slain." I put that article up on my Facebook page, and I'll put a couple more. I put it up on the Rumble page, I think, as well. But
the other thing, evidently there was some mistrust with some of the inner circle within the SCLC King's inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jesse was not someone that they would have put into an SCLC leadership. I think that's why he went off on his own, supposedly under the auspices of King, to do the Operation Breadbasket Rainbow Push Coalition in Chicago.
Yeah, I had remembered hearing that King could not stand Jesse Jackson.
Mm-hmm. And I do see Amos is in the house, but he says, "I'm just listening today. I'm sure if he wants to join us, he will turn on his mic and his camera at any given point, and we'd be happy to have you with us, Brother Amos." I'm sorry, Brother Dwight, did I cut you off?
No, I was just saying that from testimony and different things that I've heard throughout the years, that King and Jesse Jackson were just constantly butting heads, and that King just absolutely could not stand Jesse Jackson.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've reported on that quite a bit. In fact, I wrote that in my book, High Crimes of Murder: The Man, the Myth, and the Murder. And, we're going to do a better job of, one, we've got to isolate and focus on what's important. I do agree with you, Queen Mother, that this Jesse Jackson stuff is ultimately not what I need to be working on or what we need to be concentrating on. Yet at the same time, if so many of our people remain ignorant and vulnerable to this, do we just leave them behind and then construct and create the world in which our Kujichagulia world? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we should cut the ignorant masses of our people loose, we can't even get them to eat right. But I don't know. I'd say don't give up because the ignorant masses, they do have children, and we need those children to be functioning with our children in the world that we have ahead of us.
Yeah, I mean,
Any,
you never know. You never know who you're going to inspire, motivate, change, help
that's
transform.
right.
So the message still needs to be gotten out there. I agree.
That's right. Junior, did you want to comment or should we just let it go?
Well, I think we discussed it last week. I think it's germane because he's being funeralized now, and of course now the mainstream media has gotten their narrative together. But I think we just should put it out there and let our viewers and listeners make up their own minds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do definitely agree. And um, we can go ahead and move on. There are major stories that we would, should be focusing on.
Yeah,
Did you
I
bring
just
anything
want
to the table this week?
yeah, well, obviously the Iranian situation.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to also point out that Iraq is preparing for elections in the United States, and Trump has inserted himself in. He's making threats against Nouri al-Malik, wants him to drop out of not to be nominated and drop out of the race. So here's a guy who ran on being a non-interventionist, being a peace president, no longer forever wars, and look at what he's doing right now. He has the whole veneer is off. He's engaged in international piracy, regime change. So now they've changed the narrative about Iran to we want regime change, and they're hoping in that their lackeys on the ground will rise up like they attempted to do a month or so ago back in January. And so we need to look at this and analyze this because, like Keedy said, it's not like we have some core of crack fighters that can go in and assist these countries, could go to Cuba or be supportive of Venezuela, but we can be knowledgeable so we know what's going on in the world, so we know why these prices are going up in addition to the machinations of the Federal Reserve and the tariffs and all of this. This will impact all of us. So we're not just innocent bystanders. Yeah, we're on the sidelines, we're not engaged, but we're forced to respond to what's going on because you're gonna have to pay more. So now people are gonna have to make even more decisive decisions in terms of, okay, I have limited resources. Do I pay my rent, or do I get medication, or do I pay for childcare or whatever? Because this is going to impact people's standard of living, not only in the short term, but way down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a tricky challenge for me too to not overwhelm and make our people feel anxious, but at the same time keeping them informed. Do either of you Babas have strategies on that very fine tightrope that is to be walked? Because I'm finding so many of our people are just kind of like needing triage at this point.
Yeah,
Walking on
and
the edge.
the reason that they need triage is because they're so badly damaged by the larger society and the larger culture, and the black leadership class, Jesse Jackson included,
Mm-hmm.
has left a great people totally stranded. Fade to black, the passing of a great race. We as a people are totally stranded. I used to think there was maybe as many as 10% of us were conscious, pro-blacks, etc. Then I would say it was 5%. I would say now it's less than 3%. And there's no way in the world we're going to be able to survive. So it's less than 3%. It's fading to black. I don't I don't think there is any hope of reversing that ship. It is headed toward the rocks. This is the most pessimistic I've ever felt about this at all. I
Well,
do see.
your
Mhm.
conclusions aren't new. Correct me if I'm wrong. The 5%ers were saying that there's a very small percentage of black people who are going to make it. Based on Elijah Muhammad's The Fall of America, and a lot of them were members of the nation who formulated some kind of adjunct philosophy. They said, nah, that's why they call themselves the 5%ers. This is the remnant that's going to survive. They're saying most of our folks aren't going to make it.
Yeah, the 85% are the dumb, deaf, and blind, easily led in the wrong direction, hard to lead in the right direction. And then you've got the 10%, which they say are the bloodsuckers of the poor, the elites, the global cabal, whatever name you want to ascribe to them. And then you got the 5% who, according to them, have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and are conscious. I remember one of the earliest Africana studies classes I ever took. The professor just came out straight one day and was like, consciousness is a lonely road. And man, if he wasn't telling the truth.
Hmm.
But it doesn't have to be that way if those of us who are conscious stick together and form a village, or go on a pilgrimage, or just like the LIB Ning network. That was a way to bring us all together. And so by no means should anyone hear us communicating nihilism or giving up. It's just having to reorient. And I believe that that is a form of improvisation, which is a great superpower of our people.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I do see a note from 4 Africa 1. She says, you keep freezing. Are you seeing the same thing on your end, brothers? Or
Yeah, you just froze briefly, but like I
okay.
said, it was brief. It was a brief interlude.
Yeah, it's because I'm posting up these links, and I think every time I post up a link, it seizes the momentum. So I'll just pause for a while and stay in real time with us. But this this dilemma, the American dilemma, this Negro problem that we find ourselves in the midst of, we have written about it. I've written about it in the book Fade to Black. We've been doing this month-long series. It was all February, 20 programs, each showcasing 2 of my books. And I was taking us through African history as they evolved from the Conscious Rasa Report. The plan is to continue it for the next month, which begins tomorrow, Monday. Although I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I think tomorrow, Monday, will be the last broadcast of LIBRadio.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Repeat that again. What?
I think tomorrow, Monday, will be the last broadcast of LIBRadio. We've been going strong for over 23 years. But you've seen a few of these close, Baba Juniors, and I think it's time to let it go. Looks like another love TKO. So said Teddy Pendergrass.
Eddie Pendergrass. Yeah. Well, it's
I,
you do the best that you can. We're in a guerrilla struggle
Mm-hmm.
This is part of the mental and psychological and spiritual insurrection against the Urugu and Isfetian movement. And there comes a time, sometimes you have to retreat, withdraw, and regroup so that you
Mm-hmm.
come back in another form. So
That's right.
it is what it is.
Yeah. It's really hard for me to have to admit that, but I did my best. But I guess my best wasn't good enough because here we are shutting down another critical outlet for black sovereignty, self sustainable development. And there are others. YouTube has some strong ones. There's a good likelihood that I may be joining with other people on YouTube, even though I've been reaching out to them for some time and they haven't yet responded. But I did formalize, they did put up a post where they're recruiting people who do what we do here. And I'm thinking that maybe they will accept this program as part of their broadcasting. I would like to keep the mastermind going, but at this particular point, I know in the short run, this is all going to shut down.
Well, I mean, you've had one of the longer runs. I was part of this one station on this website was called Before It's News, so they wanted to have an internet radio affiliate. So they hired this
Mm-hmm.
guy to run the station. I don't even think they lasted 6 months because they couldn't
Mm.
monetize it, and they were white boys.
Mm.
And you know how white folks are in terms of money. That's the primary motivation. So once they discovered they couldn't monetize it, even though the website at the time was quite successful, they just pulled the plug.
Mm.
Well,
Wow, that's kind of cold.
I think the other thing to keep in mind, so our very faithful and wonderful listeners, family, understand that sometimes, like Baba Junius said, you need to retreat and you need to gather up strength. You need to gather up resources. You need to gather up things that can be used to blast off in another direction, in a more powerful direction.
That's
And
right.
we are the people of the Bennu bird, who the Greeks called the phoenix, and you know that idea of resurrection should never leave the minds of our people. And I think that is, you know, part of my frustration is that not enough of our people have either had the access, the privilege, the time, what have you, to go back and really do the Sankofa thing by understanding how our ancestors think. And part of that is understanding that death doesn't really exist. It's a process of transformation. And so this you know this closing, so to speak, of this chapter of LIB, it's not permanent, it's not final. It is just an incubation period, and there will be another rebirth born out of this closing.
Mm-hmm.
Edie and I used to, in the old days in the Falcon Forum, we had differing opinions. And when he first started to formulate Fade to Black, and then it manifested itself in a book, all along that process, I was adamant. No, the ancestors and the creative spirit won't allow this to happen, etc. And over the years, I've been forced to see that incrementally what Keedy is saying is true. In other words, they haven't been able to squash the animating life force within us, but
Mm-hmm.
they're making us ill. They're making us psychological. They're crippling us psychologically. the mental illness in our community, the whole what I just wrote down a little note, the de-Africanization of our people, us as a people, that even enslavement, the enslavement process was not able to do. Now, because they have technology, and I always say their media is designed to do three things: teach us what to believe, prompt us what to buy, and to model how we're to behave. And
Yeah.
we're going over the edge with these so-called reality shows, with the values, with the negative content in the movies, hip hop. They have us on a psychological level, and we're at the abyss.
Yeah. And they're taking our children. I think that's the greatest sacrifice. Our children are blood sacrifice at the altar of just wanting to fit in the American tapestry. But we can't, we cannot sacrifice our children to this deviant culture. We need somehow, somewhere to have black media stand firm. There are a number of black media out there. I'll be today on with Brother Elliot with Time for an African Awakening or Time for an Awakening.
Time for an awakening, yeah.
And that's going to be a great show. I'll put up the link to that in case anybody wants to tune in. And that's going to be a great opportunity to continue to tell our story. I had hoped and I had really thought that the programming for Black History, I was doubling up my hours, and I'm really kind of exhausted. I doubled up my hours all February in the office, and I was putting 2 book reviews out per day. I was really thinking that the books would rescue us because the books were, for years, during the years I was writing those books, the books were the base of support for LIBRadio. They allowed us to be on the air and stay strong as we could. But at a certain point, I think after 2008, things changed. It all shifted. And then we saw, of course, a whole new group on YouTube of the first generation. There was the New York beef crowd, where everybody from New York was debating with each other, etc. That was interesting, but it was totally worthless insofar as long term. And so I tried my best, but the book sales increased, but nowhere near, not even close to what it was when we could live off of it, and continue to grow and expand and take the book revenues and invest in LIBRadio. And I think while you've been following this series, or if whoever has been, I think you're going to see that all of the books that I wrote from 1996 forward, the books are still relevant. They're still very highly relevant.
Absolutely. And it's just a great shame that our people don't even know who Marcus Mosiah Garvey was, let alone John Henrik Clark, yourself, Baba Jacob Carruthers, Asa G. Hilliard, Amos Wilson, Marimba Ani, and so many others. You know, I don't want to leave anyone out, but
Francis Cresswelling, Drusilla Browder. Yeah. So I do want to always include the sisters, because I think we have a tendency to announce the great men leaders we've had, but there are some great sisters: Drusilla Dundee Houston, and
Dungee Houston.
So many others. Dungee Houston. I know I was mispronouncing that. And Ida B. Wells Barnett, Mary McLeod Bethune, Sojourner Truth. So many great sisters have been interwoven amongst us all. And we often talked about the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, but we very rarely talk about Coretta Scott King, Betty Shabazz, and how they totally embraced their husband's mission.
Absolutely. Shashi Mack.
Fannie Lou Hamer, or what's the other sister that influenced Rosa Parks, and the young people in North Carolina.
Fundi Ella Baker.
Ella Baker.
Ella Baker. Baker. We always must mention her name. So that's why LIB radio was needed, because we're not getting this from so many other black media. Democracy Now! Yeah, they do mention black female leaders, but they tend to be of the gender confusion camp. And
Yeah.
they're more advocating for that as much as they're advocating for anything black.
And they tend to
And I'm not
advocate
going to
for
bag on,
feminism.
I'm not, yeah, I'm not going to bag on Democracy Now! Too bad. They're doing the best they can, but they're led by Ashkenazim feminists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And if
And
that's
I
the
think,
best that we blacks can do is get our information about our blackness, our heritage from Ashkenazim feminists, then we are done. Fade to black. Last chapter. Close the book.
well, the thing is, the struggle intensifies. It continues. It's just that when every time we make an initiative, they respond, and they have more resources at their disposal. So it's not like, and because people on the sidelines or people in the rear, you could be in the army, but there's a lot of things that come down on a need to know basis. So a lot of the soldiers don't know what's going on. You were on YouTube. How many times did you get suspended? How many times were you deplatformed and demonetized? I've been shadow banned since I can't even remember, since before the scamdemic.
Mm-hmm.
So, I put stuff up there. It's up there, but the algorithms just, are putting a bunch of garbage over so people can't see it. And so unless you specifically look for my name on some things, and even when you put it in a good browser, a lot of the stuff doesn't come up. So I'm saying all this to say that we're engaged in a protracted and, for us, lifelong struggle. If it comes down to that you have to regroup and retrench a little bit, okay, but understand, brothers and sisters, the struggle continues. You cannot sit on the fence. You cannot be neutral in this. Otherwise, you'll be collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always, Keedy mentioned the phrase, the Negro problem. And I thought immediately of the essay Du Bois wrote, How Does It Feel to Be a Problem? This was back in the 1920s, 1930s.
Mm-hmm.
And we've always been viewed as a problem, even during the height of enslavement, because, they were having such a difficult time breaking us and dehumanizing us. So that was a problem. So we've always presented problems to them.
That's right. I see in the YouTube, our sister Sandra Muhammad has joined us. Great to have you with us. She says, I agree. People don't read anymore. Went to a book signing for Tony Browder a few weeks ago. A nice crowd. But Meadow Books, a gem in Atlanta, is closing this month. Nia Damali is retiring. And so it's so sad to hear about Meadow Books closing in Atlanta. I had been a part of that history years ago. And another great one is closing. I think Meadow Books used to carry my Conscious Roster reports when I was able to service the bookstores. That was quite some time ago, but that didn't work. That didn't last too long. But yeah, Meadow Books in Atlanta, one of the milestones of Pan-African consciousness, is now defunct. Flying Guillotine is in the house. I say again, the end game is the human species is getting farmed. And some people have said that we're being farmed because they're space aliens farming us and cultivating us. I don't know about all that. It's interesting. Maybe it'd be a good fiction book to write. Queen Mother Kashiba is in the house. Turn some of those great books into audiobooks, Kitty. At least 40 of my books are audiobooks. The audiobooks, I'm glad to have them in the mix, but they don't move, so people aren't listening to books being read to them as well. I love the idea. I love making them. I know I got a bunch of them. I did one this morning, and but they're just not moving.
The
I
brother
do have
mentioned
I do.
the brother.
Go ahead, Baba Juniors.
No, I just want to touch on the brother mentioned. He used the word farmed. A
Yeah.
lot of us would use the word harvested. That is real. Even if just dismiss the notion of aliens. There are groups harvesting our body parts
That's right.
for sale. Not just living body parts. There was a ring that was discovered in New York City, mostly Ashkenazim, and they were harvesting body parts from funeral homes, not from white folks, Europeans. So this is going on. They've always been fascinated by us. They've always used us primarily because they know fundamentally there's a major difference between us and them. And we talked about the Neanderthal component that some of them are proud of, but most of them try to suppress that information. And according to them, sub-Saharan Africa, meaning that part of Africa that wasn't invaded in antiquity by others, has no Neanderthal in us. So now most black folks have at least Americans anyway, anywhere from 18 to 20% at least minimum of European blood in us. So I don't know whether some kind of way we've been able to escape the Neanderthal part, but they have been assiduously harvesting our body parts. And I believe a lot of these missing children, a lot of these homeless folks that turn up missing, whatever, they're victims of harvesting, in my view.
Yeah. In the case of John D. Rockefeller, was it Rockefeller? I think it was John D. Rockefeller the third, who has been one of the major insidious elements here on the planet. He had four. He had just undergone his fourth heart transplant by the time he died. So that might go to kind of confirm your idea that these body parts are being harvested. And I would venture to say, I can only speculate, but quite likely he may have chosen the hearts of recently slaughtered black males. We do know that there was a significant heart theft ring out of Chicago where so many black males were dying traumatic, quick deaths that they could then harvest their body parts and sell them to rich people.
Yeah,
I'm speaking
think
a little
about
bit
Dick
off the top
Cheney.
of my head.
Think about Dick Cheney. How many transplants did he have?
We can only speculate.
And then you have adrenochrome as well, you know. And if you go deeper into the Epstein files, whether it's a distraction or not, there's some very, very concerning information in there that's global. I mean, Epstein was not shy about talking about his experimentation in Africa. And
That's
I know
right.
he directly worked with an Ashkenazi named Benjamin Goertzel in Ethiopia. And I believe Benjamin Goertzel is...
But he was hooked up with Bill Gates.
Exactly.
Not just with the girls, but with finances and plannings to promulgate vaccines and things like that.
He
Mm-hmm.
called himself a scientific philanthropist.
That's right. These technocratic, I wrote about it in a recent book. Where is it? It's right here. The bio-colonialism. I think I did you get your copy of this,
Hey,
Junius?
I was just about to say I haven't received it.
You know something? It's sitting in my office. I've already addressed it, autographed it, and everything. But unfortunately, the last couple of days, I was not able to. I couldn't even afford the postage to send it to you. But I'm hoping after today, there'll be some book sales and I will have the postage. But you are going to love this one. I can send you the digital version of it so I don't have to worry about the postage. But you do want this book. I apologize to you for the delay. It's crazy around here. You don't want to hear about the sequence of events that's kind of left us now in a desperate position. Biocolonialism, the technocratic war on African fertility and food. The book is very well documented.
I'm going to be
Hey,
ordering a
question.
couple
I have a
of
question.
Mhm.
What would it take to postpone the demise of LIB?
Money?
Specifics. Yeah, well, specifics.
Jeez.
In other words, you say
I
money, but
yeah.
you talking about the direct contributions, sponsorships. What exactly are you talking about?
because we might as well go down swinging, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It would take 2 months ago having $3,000 or more a month coming in total income. Now, I don't make all my money from the book sales. I make a significant amount of money through my classes. I went to launch a writer's class in December. No one signed up for it. I have 4 new books since December. So I'm trying to show people, too bad. If you wanted to get your books out, it would have been a great opportunity. I'm doing a reboot class, which is about your health. I do those about quarterly. And if people don't sign up for the classes, it's a significant cut in my budget. And then there's another one, I do the first Saturday feasts here at my home where people come over and they get a chance to sit to an awesome living food feast featuring as many as 36 to 54 different. Once a year, I go crazy and do the super feast. And the last 2 feasts, I ended up paying for the food out of my pocket. So that failed. The consultations that I do, let me ask you this, Baba Junius. Is it true that all around us we see the baby boom generation and others getting sicker and sicker at younger ages? Is it true?
That's true. Not only
But
are they
no
getting
one is
sicker,
calling me for consultations. I had 2 friends die recently. No one called me and asked me what I would do. How could I help? One of my friends, and he's a beloved brother, Brother Jabari, and I just recently found out 2 weeks after that he had passed of a blood clot. They took this blood clot out of his body, thrombosis, and no one called me. He didn't call me. No one called me. I make my money doing the consultations, but Brother Jabari, I wasn't going to charge him to save his life. The brother wasn't even, he was 48 years old.
Wow.
well, one of the things that is not being discussed
Mm-hmm.
in the media is the excess mortality
Mm-hmm.
that has spiked since
Right.
the vaccines. So that example that you just gave is unfortunately now the norm.
Mm-hmm.
You
Now I
know,
know
so
Brother Jabari well enough to no one could have talked him into taking the injection, but the reality is Brother Jabari was severely obese, obesity type 3, and that always impacts a person's life expectancy. He was
well,
a good brother, and I don't want to overshadow his ascension into the Hall of Amenta I don't want that to overshadow his qualities as a human being. He was creative, talented. He carved his artwork and a bunch of his habit And Brother Jabari was a good brother. But I would love to have had that call saying, Katie, I really do need your help in your area of specialization for which you've educated yourself all these years.
Well, again, we're looking at things piecemeal. We've been
Mm-hmm.
taught by our enemies to just use our left brains, which tends to segregate, um, cut up reality, quote unquote reality.
Mm-hmm.
We are engaged in a war, and I call it omnicide. It's a multifaceted, almost multidimensional war against all life, against the universe, because again, the Luciferians want to usurp the natural order. They are set out of control on steroids. And this is what we're up against. There's a war for our
Mm-hmm.
minds, there's a war for our emotions, there's a war for our bodies. And while they cannot destroy the spirit, the God force that's in us, they want to diminish it and redirect it into like negative things. People get caught up in what the Buddhists and some of the Eastern people call the illusions, the Maya. What we call, ignorance.
And
Mm-hmm.
in my limited spiritual understanding, um, the way that they get access to that God force or that life force or that Ashe or that Nyama is by exposing us to information that is of such a low vibrational content that we end up slowing our high frequency vibration down and getting caught up in exactly the same type of things that they're interested in. And I'm thinking of Jeffrey Epstein, especially. I think that is that negative cancer that we think of. And I was always told that negativity spreads a lot faster and a lot further than positivity does. And the example that I always gave was, if you hold a door for somebody, maybe they'll say thank you. Maybe they'll hold it for the next person. But if you were to just go up and to slap somebody as hard as you could, and I'm not advocating that, I'm just using that as an example, that would be taken through their entire day, maybe even their week. That would reverberate in such a way that, unfortunately, again, negativity spreads faster and further than positivity does. However,
Mm-hmm.
positivity is more powerful. And so one of the things that I'm always reminding the younger brothers that I work with is to guard your life force. Guard that God force. Don't let anyone bring you down to that level. But that goes into character development, personal development, self-help. And that's just not being pushed as a popular thing these days. No one wants to hear about morals and ethics.
Mm-hmm.
But see, the other thing that you're talking about, ways that diminish the God force.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, I forgot the brother who talked about African healing, and he talked about that God force and the very things that you're talking about, the very being involved in negative energy, negative vibrations, but also the foods
Yes.
that the body
Mm-hmm.
needs, because it is the vehicle that the life force moves and navigates on this plane. When your body is down and you're suffering from dis-ease, it impacts your life force, the intensity of your life force. Remember, African people always talked about vitality.
Mm-hmm.
Usually,
Ital, the Jamaicans called it ital. That was
okay.
when the vitality was in the food. Itality.
So, but see, usually it was the concern was for the leaders or the elders when there was a diminished capacity. Sometimes they would be ritualistically or ceremonially, quote unquote, killed, and a younger leader would be brought on. And I forgot the brother's name. He was from the Congo, and he talked about the Congo system.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of that is in that. And again, when you have omnicide, where they're trying to destroy the food, or destroy plant life, they're destroying animal life. There's very serious alarm about the decline in the bees and some of the other pollinators that are their populations are diminishing. This is a result of, some say, the intensified electromagnetic activity, or it could be just the GMO plants and seeds and what have you. I'm saying all this to say that, again, it's omnicide. They are out to destroy all life, transform it, because we see that in this whole transhumanism. We see this in the hybridization, where they want to mix the various species, all in the quest, to change the natural order, but also to move toward what you mentioned earlier, Duar, was immortality. Not knowing that we're already immortal. It's just we don't carry the same physical body, once we make transition.
I mean, that something very, it's profound in my mind. Sometimes you have those little epiphanies. While these elites, these billionaires are striving to do whatever it takes to achieve longevity, it seems like the overwhelming majority of our people are inadvertently taking ourselves out as early as possible.
Because we don't know, because we're unaware. We're unaware of the connection, the mind, body, spirit connection.
That's right.
Most physicians who graduate from medical school, and I went to a young cousin graduated from Virginia Commonwealth, I think about 3 years ago. We went to the graduate. They don't even say the Hippocratic Oath anymore. But and that, one of the reasons I'm bringing that up is because there's something within the oath that says you promise to do no harm.
That's right.
So
so the system knows it's broken.
Oh well, the system is in the process of transformation. There's some people who are saying, well, we need to get back to more holistic. Big pharma and the medical establishment, that's the last thing they want to do. There's no profit in wellness. There's no profit in being healthy. This is a system whose mindset, again, is what's mine is mine, what's yours is mine. So I'm going to take your health so I can make a profit.
Yeah, so do no harm has become now do harm.
Right. Right.
Couple of comments have come
in the guise of healing people.
Exactly.
Under the guise of healing people, to do harm, but cover it up. Don't let nobody know you're in on it.
The biggest cover up is they brandish it as science. Follow the science. This is the science.
Safe and effective.
Well, follow the science to the end of their sentence, and then go keep following the science until you realize that whoever just made that sentence with a period was actually keeping the majority of the science away from you. Because this is what I do. I follow the science. I do strictly follow science. I can't disagree with that statement, but the science that's being advocated is not the truth. Follow Ma'at and you will know the truth. A couple of comments have come in.
But their science 100 and some years ago was put leeches on people and bleed them to death.
Or lobotomies.
That's right. That's right. Ooh, a couple of comments have come in from the YouTube. We have Flying Guillotine. He says, I say again, the end game is the human species is getting farmed. And he said, those aren't aliens, they're demons. He agrees with you, Baba Junius. And um, also, Queen Mother had asked me to turn some of those great books into audio books, Brother Keaty. And I also put up a link to my audiobooks. It's on Amazon. And there are actually, I think, probably at least 40 or more of my books are there as audiobooks. And I do encourage people to get into the catalog. It's really pretty good. Eddie McCroy, he writes, I want to thank you so very much for all you have done for me with 5 exclamation points. I drive for a living, and the first time I heard you on Carl Nelson's show, I've been listening to you. I had gained, and I think there's more coming from him on that statement, but that cuts. But thank you so much. I do appreciate, love you being in this house, Brother Eddie McCroy. You're a wonderful, bright light in this global LIB family. And Queen Mother Kashiba, she also put some money on the table. I think she's challenging all of us to, she put $50 on to the Rumble link, and that's great. And so thank you very much. Now, I don't encourage people to put money into Rumble first and foremost, even though it's there, but the Rumble money doesn't get to me until it's crossed a certain level. And from the $50 you put up, they're going to take their share of it, which means it's going to bring it down under 50. And I can't cash it in until it crosses 50. And then it takes 2 weeks to clear the pipeline electronically for that money to be available to me. But I'm not going to put down your donation. It was absolutely wonderful. But if someone wants to get some cash to us to help us solve these short-term problems, please use Cash App. If possible, we can also do Zelle. PayPal's not bad. They're going to take, what, 3%? That's not too unreasonable. But if you can do Cash App, I can get access to that money fairly quickly, and you can Cash App us at, I'll put up that Cash App link. Actually, you see it scrolling below the screen, $ KEIDIOBI. That is our Cash App. And I thank you so much for everyone who is concerned that, yes, I announced today we're going to be rolling up the carpet real soon. And we're going to do the best we can. King Jason in the house, he says, Snotball, you talked about aliens? Now, you know this is a LIB first, laugh out loud. Yeah, well, we didn't get too deep into it.
Yeah, and actually, half of us agreed that the aliens are demons.
Yeah, I think I can't disagree with that at all. The aliens are demons. We can call them whatever we want, but the bottom line is they're not like us. And that thing they do, that's not our own. So King Joshua K. Empowers in the house. Grand Rising, everyone. Thank you for providing the information you provide. It is much appreciated. Thank you so much, Joshua K. Empower. And I know he and I have been talking about getting together. I think he is here in Las Vegas, and we've been talking about getting together for the last month or so. Well, we may have to expedite that within the next day or so because it's about to really be disrupted around here.
Looks like you got a second half of Eddie McCrory's testimony as well that came through.
Oh, okay. He says, I had gained lots of extra weight from sitting and eating all day, but you helped me to lose around 50 pounds with your teachings and tips. Thank you so very much. Peace and love always. Wow, Eddie, that's a brilliant testimony. And if you could put that testimony in one passage and email that to me if you can, or else I'll just piece it together. But it's always a joy. I like collecting these testimonies because people, they do show their appreciation. Baba Junius dropped out for a second. Hopefully he'll be right back with us. I do see here he is back to in the house. And I do see Brother Amasis in the background, but he's just listening. So if you want to speak up, Brother Amasis, he has been guest so many times over the years. In fact, for a long time, Amasis Ma'at had his own show here on LIBRadio. So I think he might like to weigh in as we're kind of beginning to pull the curtain and, shut down the operation over here. Brother Amasis, hopefully he's still listening.
Well, maybe the thought of the termination or the demise of LIB might spur some people to give, but it can't be a short-term thing. It has to be a long-term commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And I know
Which you
times
have
are
done.
hard. Well, I know times are hard and they're going to get harder. That's
Mm-hmm.
the other issue. We need to be upfront and clear with our people that these developments that are taking place now, and this is not going to be a wham bam thank you ma'am type of situation. I don't care what Donald Trump and the media say. It's going to be long, and the repercussions are going to be deep, and we need to be prepared for that. We need to be prepared to make sacrifices. We need to be prepared to use discernment and to determine what things in our circle are valuable, because again, it's going to take a lot of sacrifice. The economy is going to start to get very in flux or fluctuate, and it's
Mm.
going to impact all of us. And keep in mind that inflation has not stopped. That's just some more Trump's garbage. So who knows what's going to happen now?
Well, we can reasonably anticipate tomorrow, Monday morning, you're going to see a significant market crash. Now, there was a couple of weeks ago, Pam Bondi, in her craziness in congressional hearings, did talk about, well, you're not focusing on the markets. The markets have crossed 50,000. And she was trying to distract away from her government's ineptitude in dealing with the Epstein files. Well, then they silenced her real quick because the market immediately, almost after she started saying that, the market then began its process of correcting itself and declining day after day. I venture to say that tomorrow morning, when the markets open, it could very well be so stressful that they will shut them down. You know, they've done that from time to time when the markets are going really wild, going southward. They'll shut them down after a few hours and maybe give it the next day and see if it'll act a little more insane. But it's
Well,
about to get crazy.
yeah, the thing is, if you look ahead, I think there's some markets, I think in Asia, that open before the American market. Or if you look at Bloomberg, watch their channel,
Hmm.
you see what's going on. So I would encourage you later today to look at Bloomberg, and you'll see what's happening around the world, not so much just in the United States. So again, it's going to be a major shock. It's going to be interesting to see how the media plays it up, what kind of narrative they and what kind of spin that they put on this.
Yes, no doubt, no doubt. Um, Dwara, do you have any forecasts, any looking over the horizon? What your brilliant young vision sees on the horizon?
Well, I think we cannot lose hope. That is for sure. However, I do agree with both you Babas, that times are going to get difficult. Um, I think, I'm saying this partly tongue in cheek, but that's why I love fasting. Is you know, it lowers the grocery bills. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I think our people need to be in the mindset that to genuinely be African, we do not run away from pain. We do not run away from adversity. We do not run away from hardship and challenge, because we understand that just like a sculptor who is chipping away bits and pieces of the stone. There's beauty born out of those scars, and it reveals our inner beauty. And that there can be beauty even within the loss. The Eurasian mindset is that pain should be avoided at all costs, and that it is a very negative thing. And in their supreme insecurity, in their desperate anxiety and fear, because of their despiritualized cultural nature, they fear what happens after death. But African people, we as African people, we do not fear that. We understand it as just another chapter, a transformation that takes place. That death doesn't exist. It's just a transformation. And so in that, we embrace pain, and we know that it brings wisdom. We understand that it builds character. We understand that it affords us opportunities to do better in the future. Plus, I'm going to quote Baba Bhagwan Ra Africa, who said, if you've never had a toothache, you can't appreciate toothakelessness. If you've never been tired, you can't appreciate rest. So these hard times, they actually make us, they don't break us. And we are the most resilient people on this planet Earth. Just look at history, all that we have survived. There's even a modern day proverb that says the African is like an Indian rubber ball. The harder you dash it to the ground, the higher it rises.
Yeah, I like that. The harder you dash it to the ground, the higher it rises. Yeah, I can definitely use that. And we will rise. We rise, we rise, we rise like Ra. And Ra, the early manifestation of Ra, early day manifestation is Keper Ra. The idea of the beetle rolling the dung ball across the desert. Well, that is the harbinger of things to come. Keper Ra looks over the horizon and forecasts the future. That's kind of been the token for LIBRadio, or the totem, that's what I'm saying. The totem for LIBRadio over the years, that's our symbol, Keper Ra. And that's who we are, and that's what we're going to do.
And not to cut you off, but just to remind us that inside that dung ball is the thousands of eggs.
Eggs is life. The key factor in Africa is eternal life, immortality. They understand that the Creator creates perpetually, and that we are a vehicle. That's why the sex drive is so intense in us. It's just that our mastery system showed us how to put it in check, just like we had to put our ego in check. And that's this means. This is the icon for the king, meaning us, putting our lower animal nature in check, our ego in check, to keep it so that it functions in a righteous manner, that we are the rulers. So the sooner we get back to that realization, and as Duara always points out, the fundamental principle in African culture and values is good character, because it's practical. You want a society where the people are ethical, where they're moral, where they're polite, they're kind, where Ubuntu is manifest every day. And we live in the exact opposite, in a social system that is basically barbaric, it's savage even, and is being played out on the world stage right now.
Exactly what you just mentioned was one of my my main bullet points under the action steps category. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. To extrapolate a little bit on what you said quickly, our ancestors stressed that the best and most direct way to thwart and change a negative destiny, or a painful destiny, or hard times, is actually that the development and the maintenance of good character.
And also, we realize that we don't know everything. We realize that there is wisdom, knowledge, and information available to us either through peer or elder mentorship. And I shouldn't use the word mentor, but support, also divination, seeing what is in the spiritual realm and being willing to follow it. The Europeans laughed at us and said we were silly, we were superstitious. But of course, all we have to do is look at their history, look at their social organization. And I'm not even going to call it civilization. Their social organization based on might makes right. The Aryan model was you had the people at the top just abused and took advantage of the people at the bottom. And that's what we're seeing now.
Yeah. And that idea, the people at the top taking advantage of and abusing everyone else, that's a very important paradigm that is lingering above us all, and we're all paying the price for that. Good. A couple more comments have come in. Chaos Rain Show in the house. Good afternoon. And you and I have been threatening to do some cross programming. Hopefully, we'll complete that here real soon. And I do see your private chats. I see, were there some links that you put up? Someone put in the private chats. Oh, that was, I see from Amos, he says, I can't come on live now. Yet we can reboot Black Star Media Incorporated sometime in the future if strongly desired. And yeah, and I'm not going to reboot anything under the California corporate tax laws. Boy, that turned out to be a disaster. Dwara says, I agree. Baba Amasis, he says, as long as you keep doing your push-ups, you will succeed. Well, believe it or not, it's been hard to do the push-ups, but yesterday I did manage to get them in. And there was only a couple of days when I was actually doing some other things around the office, and I didn't do my push-ups. Yesterday I got them in. I got in 750 push-ups yesterday, which is like the minimum. I normally try and do at least 900, but 750 is my absolute bottom minimum, and I am still getting them in, even though it's really kind of difficult right now. And I did weigh myself today, and I'm a little bit lighter than what I aim to be, although my body mass index is still in the green zone, the safe zone. But I weighed in today at 137.6, and that's as low as I'm going to go. It's good to be in a position, and I'm strong. It's not, I'm not liking for strength, but it's good to be in a position to say, I'm going to put on some weight. Because I can eat as much as I want. I'm going to eat a lot of nuts, avocados, fatty stuff. I'm going to eat, of course, a lot of spinach and other things like that, which doesn't put on weight, but it keeps me strong and healthy and vibrant and energetic. But you know what my secret is for the push-ups? I'll let everybody know about the secret to the push-ups. 2 secrets. Number 1, the breath is very, very important that you concentrate, focus on breathing, and don't think about the pain of the push-ups. Focus on breathing. And number 2, I found out I increased my push-ups from about 500 up to 900 average per day by first engaging about 7 minutes of Tai Chi before I start my push-ups. And I do 3 sets of Tai Chi followed by 3 sets of push-ups. And it's pretty impressive. With Tai Chi, I can easily do 300 without any real strain. I don't start straining until I cross 425.
I had a meeting with a brother this morning, and he's into Qigong and Tai Chi. And he said, and he was telling me about gonad, I think it's called gonad manipulation therapy, which helps cleanse the body using the the endocrine system to cleanse the body.
That's the lymphatic system.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's called, lymphatic massage or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. He's making a good point. I just hope he's doing self-massage.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a lady down the street that offers that. No, but
Okay.
that does remind me of a book. I think the brother's name was Michael Frost, and I think it was called Choosing Life. And some great information in that book about kind of taming the Kundalini, the Kundalini life force, that God force that starts at the base of the spine and works its way up to the pituitary and pineal gland. And again, protecting that God force, protecting that life force, not depleting it recklessly. These are all fundamental teachings that help us stay as healthy and strong warriors in this protracted battle, as you mentioned, Baba Junius, earlier.
Yeah, we're about to begin to wrap it up, but there is a comment that I love it. I think it's very strong. Queen Mother Kashiba writes on the Rumble page, deceit and cunning are the model of the Ubuntu. Look at now we're talking about of the Urugu. It's a model of the Urugu. Look at their literature. Even that in children's fairy tales. That is not Ubuntu. That's Urugu. Am I correct, Robert Tunis?
Right. Yeah. The other thing is, I mean, look at their language. Look at how much violence and confrontation and conflict permeates their violence. Somebody's always fighting. Even you see these ads, the lawyers, I'll fight for you. We're this, we're going to do this. It's nothing is about peace. Nothing is about tranquility.
Yeah.
Even she talked about deceit. For African people, the people in the Nile Valley, the greeting of Hotep, meaning they wished for that person profound peace, was their normal greeting. That's where the Hebrews got shalom from, and the Muslims, Assalamu alaikum. Well, that's not what the Aryans are about. They're not about peace. They're not about the whole notion of shaking somebody's hand was because most people are right-handed. And if they offered you their right hand, I mean, you didn't have a knife to stab them. I mean, that's where some of those mores and habits come from. It's all about violence.
Yeah, it's like juxtapose Hotep, brother, to hey, shoot me an email. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow.
Well, let's aim to get together. Let's aim to get together next week. Shoot me an email.
Ouch. We're going to be wrapping up here real shortly, but there's something you had just said, Baba Junius, and it hit me in my side of my head, but unfortunately it knocked whatever thought I was having in my head out. So we're going to continue. We're going to begin to wrap it up. The mastermind has been
make an announcement.
Oh, okay. The mastermind has been a wonderful part of our legacy. Go ahead, please do share your announcement, Baba Junius.
Check your browsers. The Iranians have appointed an interim supreme leader, Ali Reza Arafi, and he's going to be in that position until they select a permanent one. So the goal of regime change by the killers and psychopaths has failed.
Well, it may have failed. We don't know the character of the incoming Ayatollah. And so I dare not speculate with no evidence. There is a regime change that's going down, but will the regime change benefit Israel? Will it benefit the United States? I don't think it's very much possible. Although it is possible that whoever comes in, we do know that the Israelis have deeply embedded the Mossad in the Iranian government. Otherwise, how did they get this targeting information so correct, so directly targeting people in so many places? And so we'll know when we know. At this point, I don't think I have time to focus on it because I'm going to have to solve problems that are more immediate. But we're going to do the best we can. And I did see another comment from somebody. It was from For Africa One. You missed Queen Mother Kashiba's an earlier comment. I thought I did put those up. And oh, that's a very important point. Queen Mother Sheba says, gas up your cars today, especially in California. And Gus, Brother Gus, is there a dollar amount it must be met that must be met to keep LIB radio functioning? Um, yeah, there is a dollar amount, but it could have, would have, should have happened 2 months ago, and I wouldn't be in this trouble today. One person did make a substantial contribution, but the bank froze the money for 10 days, and I still can't get access to that. Brother Ali, thank you for doing all you do, but the bank froze the check. It was not your fault. It wasn't anything, it wasn't my fault, but it was just the fault of the bank, which put this algorithm machine in place that said, we're going to freeze this check for 2 weeks, and I will not get access to any of that until it's too late almost. We're going to do the best we can.
Oh, shit.
Let's begin to wrap it up. Final comments for today's show. And also, I did put up the link for those who want to come and join me. I'm going to be on Elliot Booker's program today, and there's another brother who co-hosting. I can't think of his name right now. I think it's Brother Steve and Elliot. I'm going to be with them 6 p.m. this evening, Eastern Time, and that would be 3 p.m. my time, and that's time for an Awakening Radio. We're going to be discussing the book, The Conscious Roots, which at the time I booked the interview, it was 4 weeks ago. The Conscious Roots was brand new. And now I have 3 new books to follow the Conscious Roots. I'm on a furiously urgent writing campaign right now. I think I anticipated that this thing was going to hit a brick wall. And I said, get it all in as possibly can, as soon as you possibly can. So I deprioritized some other books. The new book that's coming out, you're going to see it probably by the end of today. It's called Steamships. And Steamships, the adding of arts, spirituality, holistic health, innovation, and prosperity, and sustainability. Adding that to the steamships, to STEM, is definitely transformational. I personally, I would suggest it's the best education on the planet, especially for African children. So please do. You got excited about the biocolonialism, how technocratic war on Africa's fertility and food. Well, steamships is a natural part of the solution to that and so many other problems. So many other problems. I'm listening. Final thoughts for today's show.
Yeah, give your press the name and the URL for your press.
Oh yeah, the Conscious Rasta Press. I did put up that link a little bit earlier, but those of you who want to see what I do, go to www.consciousrastapress.com to see our books. And I highly encourage people to do so. I think you will love what's there. And if you are so motivated that you then would purchase a book, hey, I'm going to be very, very happy as anyone to know about that.
Brother Booker usually emails me a notice about his program. I was supposed to work with him on a project, I think like in August, July or August, but it fell through or he didn't follow up. So I'll keep an eye out for it, and I'll just put it in my browser, see what comes up.
Great. Final thoughts for today's show there, Brother Dwara?
My final thoughts for today's show are that good character is more important than material objects. So far in as the basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter are met. We can't have all the regalia, the books, the jewelry, and not have good character, basically, is what I'm trying to say there. Also, our ancestors advised us to keep wise counsel around us. And so let us continue that ancient practice of keeping the elders really around us, and using them as sounding boards and as guidance for us to make sure we're making the right decisions in life. And then lastly, we do not have to reinvent the wheel. Our ancestors did all the thinking and the legwork for us thousands of years ago. Now we must take their legwork and run with it. Ashe.
I like that. That's a very, very powerful. We must take their legwork and run for it. And these are our ancestors. We've inherited their genetic, epigenetic characters. That's who we are. That's who we stand on. We stand on their roots. And the ancestors gave us all of the survival mechanisms that they could give us. That is the purpose of the book, The Conscious Roots, Growth, Heritage, and the Biology of Being. So the ancestors, they've done the work. All we need to do is focus in, stand on their shoulders, and reach for the stars. Thank you both for being such a great, great integral part of LIBRadio today. I think we gave the people justice for today, Ma'at, the truth. Real quickly, a question from Brother Gus. He said, King Jason says, how could we have ever lost to these people? The Arabs are so goofy. Well, it's been a long, long history, and at times they overwhelmed us. And one more comment from Brother Gus, who's going to wrap up with you. Oh, he said, can Brother Junius and Brother Dwara provide their contact information? Brother Junius, where can people hear more from you?
You can email me at jrswriter, JRSWRITER at Comcast.net. You can see me. I have a page on I can't even think of that. Okay, let me
On Substack.
I'm also on Medium. I'm also on you can check me at From the Ramparts, although that's Shadow Band, and also JRS Writer. Those are the ways you can get to me and see what I'm doing. And also, I just resumed writing. I wrote for Scoop USA in Philadelphia for about 30-some years.
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped. And then the publisher and owner called me and asked me to resume. And so most of the articles have been back for maybe about a month now.
Okay.
So a lot of the articles are the same thing you'll see on Substack.
Awesome. Awesome. Brother Dwara, do you have contact information that you can share?
I'll say absolutely. I can be reached via email at Duara, DUARA, Kala, KALA, at protonmail.com.
All right. Great to have you both in the house. Great to have you connecting with your family, our listening audience. I'm asking everybody, can you hit the like button for today's program? You will always be able to go back to the Rumble page, to the YouTube page, where our archives run rather thick. You can probably go back 6 months or more and just replay everything else. And our sister 4 Africa 1 asks, will the mastermind be back? Question mark. This is likely the closing chapter. Sorry, but we're doing the best that we can. We've done the best we can, but apparently the best that we could do was not quite yet good enough. For those of you who have been supporters, I'm going to keep sending you bonuses and things, bonus books, etc. When I have a new book come out, if you're at a $20 support level, I just drop it in the mail. But for some people who've been there for so long, I just keep things going because your donation is less than what it costs for me to replace it. So thank you all for all you do for all of us. It's been an absolute pleasure being with you for 23 years here on LIBRadio, LIBTV, and livinginblack.com. Now, I probably will do tomorrow morning's broadcast, which will be the wrapping up of the African Hour Story months. And so there's probably going to be the last broadcast is going to be tomorrow morning, Monday, on your favorite. But check me out today. Where I'll be with Elliot Booker, and I'm going to be doing a lot more interviews with others around the web. And there's a likelihood that you and I will continue the mastermind on Pana Genius TV. But that's not at all close to being confirmed. So I'll let you know as soon as I know whether they're going to accept my inviting myself to be a part of their network.
I say.
I'll say. And on that
All
note,
right.
you've
Stay
been tuned
strong.
in. You've been tuned into LIB Radio, LIBTV, and livinginblack.com. And it's been good, and good things are coming. It's going not good things are not coming immediately because tomorrow morning you're going to wake up to very bad news. I do agree. Someone said gas up your car as soon as you possibly can. I think that's great advice to each and every one of us. Peace and prosperity from your favorite. We aim to be your favorite. We are LIB Radio. LIB TV, we are livinginblack.com. Peace to each and every one of you.
Yeah.